closed session, the board met with legal counsel with regard to item A, one potential case, and gave direction to legal counsel. With regard to item B, one potential case, gave direction to legal counsel, and with regard to item C, gave direction. No reportable action.
We'll move to item 6, open session. Item 7, public comments. At this time, any person may address the board on any subject within a district's jurisdiction which is not on the agenda. However, any non-agenda matter will be referred to staff for a report and/or action at a subsequent board meeting, and no action can be taken on any such item discussed unless the action has been authorized under section 5.954.2, open parentheses, lowercase b, close parentheses, of the government code. Any person may also address the board on any agenda matter at the time that the matter is discussed. Prior to board consideration and action, speakers are requested to limit comments to 5 minutes. Does anyone like to address the board at this time?
Good evening, sir. Board. I know the hot topic tonight will probably be that grand jury report. I'd like to share something with the board. They can look it up themselves at their leisure. Back in May, it says the grand jury held RCSD. And basically, this is dated May the 22nd with a newspaper article. And it talks about the district gets a clean bill of health. And the concerning part about that, how do we go from May, where we did a good job, and now I'm reading the report, and I'm not going to beat the people up about the report. It's just a little disturbing, the actual report. I said at the last meeting, I was tired of my community being beat up and talked about. This is embarrassing for me as a resident here, and a past board member. I would hope that the board, if you haven't read it, please do. I'm sure you probably have, but we need to do something about it. And I'm not pointing a finger, but when I look for leadership, people are going to be responsible for me, responsible for my wallet, we have to do a little bit better. And so this here is dated here. You can look them both up here and just compare the two of them. One says we did a wonderful job. The other says we're a grease fire. Along with that there, the other questions I have here, like I said, it's pretty sad. It says, and the way I'm going to ask the question, where do we go now? We talked about the grand jury and with the GMs. We're bobbling with GMs here. I don't know what you folks are going to do, but please do something just to protect our community. Another thing, we have a budget deficit. And we're still spending monies we don't have. We paid $50,000 for a loan for lighting. We got to pay more money for that. Where the money's going to come from? I don't know about the current attorney fees, but do we have that many problems that we're spending so much money on the attorney fees? And every time we look up, I know the fees are astronomical. I may not be privy to the actual numbers, but that's a concern. The other thing is, and this report says it here, you moved sewer fees back onto the utility bill, but a report written by a third party not involved in our dynamics here in Rosamond says that we had a 96% collection rate, and for 2014-2015 we collected about $145,000, 96%. Those fees on the light bill, on the water bill, we're not going to have that right there. So who did that benefit? A select few. Maybe some defined property owners that have multiple pieces of property. It didn't benefit me as a resident. We're losing money. And the sad part about it, again, like I said earlier, you folks do not care one bit. Another thing that is a concern is that what are we going to do now? We've dug ourselves a hole. How do we pull out of it? The people don't like the board doesn't like the staff, the ratepayers don't like nobody here. What are we going to do? And I'm saying as a concerned citizen, because everything you folks are not doing is going to cost this community money. Be it more fees, we're going to have to do a rate study. That means we're going to be paying more money because of the arrogance of the board to make hollow promises. They're going to create all these fees. So I want to ask you folks to take care of us, not your unique interest, not your boys, and not the good old boy network. We all deserve the same respect that you folks get. Mr. Lansgard, I'm not making a point about you, but people read body language, and every time you don't like what's said, you give that look. But the bad part about it we have a right to speak our concerns. I remember you come in here, you make your off the wall, no issues or whatever, and people have to tolerate it. So you're in a position now, tolerate it, sir. Thank you folks. And the last thing, you folks use the word transparency a lot, Mr. President. They're the words you talk. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to address the board at this time?
On a brighter note, sorry. Just want to give everybody a quick update on the Rosamond Community Watch Program. We did have our community cleanup last Saturday. We cleaned up the Jack-in-the-Box field for the second time in 2 months. We picked up 40 bags of trash and 2 tires. Before the county could get out there to pick up our bags on Monday, some nice person decided to pull several of the bags into the field and rip them open. It was not animals, it was a 2-legged animal, put it that way. And they did split them open. We put out an emergency call and we had several volunteers show up that day, and we were able to pick up 3 more bags of trash just since we were there on Saturday. We're not going to stop. We're going to keep going out and cleaning up the community a little bit at a time. Our July meeting will be July 15th. It's going to be our quarterly Coffee with a Cop. We will have representatives from CHP, Kern County Sheriff, Edwards Air Force Base Security Forces, possibly OSI, Fire Department, and several other agencies. We have also invited, but have not received confirmation yet, possibly Zach Scribner, Tom Lackey, McCarthy. We're trying to get them more involved in our community as well. That'll be Wednesday night, July 15th, 6 p.m. at Homo Hall. And then in July, our next scheduled cleanup day is going to be the 18th. We're going to be offering a Kids Day. In the morning, we're going to have the kids cleaning up United Park, and while the adults are actually cleaning up United Street. More details on that. Our start time is going to be changing. It's going to be earlier because of the heat. But we are on Facebook. We have our business cards here. If you're not on Facebook, we'll be glad to share our phone number with you. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
First thing, Roger Hensley. What Rick was saying is, for everyone, is May 2013, 2 years ago, the board got a good report
Mr.
from the
Hensley, I
ground.
believe you addressed this in the opening comments before we went into closed session.
And these people weren't here.
Public
So the-
meeting is at
I'm
7.
sorry, sir.
I'm sorry too.
Point of order. Would you
So-
please sit down?
No, I'm not.
No. Public meeting
So,
at 10 o'clock.
we got a good report 2013, and 2015 we got a bad report, is what he was trying to say. I'm just reiterating that for you, so get the dates right. Okay.
Mr. President, I made the mistake of the dates, so I'm sorry not giving the dates. I think that's what he's trying to clarify. The article that there, it was March 13th. The article was there. I was just making a comparison that it was about a year's Foxford County. Things are coming from it. I apologize for the incorrect info.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me explain myself. We opened this meeting at 6 o'clock this afternoon. We have a section for public comments at that time.
Yes.
We're asking people only to discuss the things one time with the board. And this was the second time Mr. Hensley was approaching the board to speak about the same thing that he spoke about earlier. That's why I called for a point of order. Thank you. Anybody else would like to talk to the board? Okay. Let's go to item 8, comments and presentations, director's comments.
Well, the RMAC meeting did not have our bullet train people show up. They're going to come in July. That'll be July 16th, the day after the Rosamond Community Watch, it'll be Homo Hall, of course. And on August 20th, Jake Allen at Palmer Regional Medical Center will be there, according to Dennis Schaffner. That's very important to our community. As you know, we don't have an urgent care center. We don't have any, I think we don't have a doctor anymore, medical doctor in the community. Whereas the report they did 3 years ago indicated we should have 31.5 doctors. And it'd be important for us to meet with Mr. Allen and see what we can do to make him welcome. And if you can make it August 20th, that would be very appreciated.
Mr. Glenn?
Just appreciate you all being here and your concerns.
Okay. I'd like to bring up a subject. I went to the Antelope Valley Water Conservation Committee meeting, I believe it was on the 17th, and there was a presentation there by some folks from the city of Lancaster, and they were talking about a program that they have, and it's called Hero Financing. I did some research. I called the organization and found out that Kern County, the whole of the county, is covered by this Hero program. If you would go to herofinance.com or heroprogram.com, frequently asked questions, you can get a lot of questions answered. And one of the things that you'll find there is that there are a lot of things that can be covered under this. What it is you go there, you put in your name, your property address, it will tell you how much money that they can loan you for doing improvements for water conservation or sewer conservation or water conservation, the taking out your turf and putting in desert landscaping. And it's financed at, I believe, the cost was explained the other day at 6.6%. And it's a self-assessment. It goes on your tax bill, and it stays with the property. If you sell your property, the person that's buying your property has the improvements on the tax bill, and they will continue to pay it. But you can get all manner of things that are there, as I've just explained. So it's Hero Finance or heroprogram.com, and you'll be able to find out information there, whether you want to get in the program or not. And again, I'd like to welcome you and thank you for being here tonight. Is there any, item 2, any presentations tonight? Okay. Okay, we'll move to item 9, informational items, legal update. Council?
I have nothing further to add.
Move to item 2, general manager update on district projects. Mr. Allen?
What I have is Public Works projects since the last meeting. Public Works Department completed 99 work orders. 14 of them were wastewater complaints. They delivered 10 letters out to the William Fisher Memorial for lead and copper participants for our triannual testing. Completed 28 shutoffs. Also, we had 5 service line leaks. And I'd like to take a second here and thank the public for their input on our website on reporting these leaks, because we're able to get to them in a timely manner and get them taken care of. Also, we replaced 3 angle stops at various locations. They completed the monthly meter reading. And out at the water bank, we've had one of the customers of the water bank call for some of their water. They want 2,500 acre feet pulled out of the water bank. So we've been in preparation of getting the extraction wells ready to go in the piping and start delivering water probably by Monday morning. Here in Rosamond, we've only been running on the 2 wells, well 9 and well 5. We actually started up our well 8 this week, and that's about all I have.
Any questions?
How did well 8 respond to being started back up? Did it check water quality or what?
Oh yeah, we had the back teeth sample, everything came back good. It's online now.
What's its capacity?
1,000 gallons a minute. It's run on a float, so it's not running 24 hours a day, but as the tanks rise and lower, it comes on and off. Well 9 is running 24 hours a day.
Will it cover us through the summer, do you think? With reduced water use?
With reduced water use, it probably will. We had to purchase 50 acre feet last year for Mayback in August. So with reduced water rate, we may be without purchasing any outside water.
Thank you. Anything has 20% application this year?
Pardon?
ABEC has water to sell this year? 20%? 20%.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a question. I couldn't hear about William Fisher. What was the letters that were?
Today we delivered lead and copper letters to see participants out there that wanted to participate in lead and copper sampling.
Okay.
Okay, that's if they want to have a sample of their water, they can do that.
Yeah, we're trying to get volunteers to let us sample the water, to take lead and copper samples to make sure that the plumbing's not leaching lead into the or copper into their water system.
Any other questions?
I just had a question. The 2,500 acre feet, did they pay to take the water out?
Yes, they do.
And how much an acre foot is it to pull the water out?
I don't have those exact numbers for you, but I believe it's
About 90, I think.
Or it's 50 or 75?
I was going to say 50 in, 50 out, plus power cost.
Per acre foot or $50
Per acre foot.
Oh,
All right. Move to item 10, discussion and action items. Under A is discussion and action regarding policies and procedures for approval of contracts. As Mr. Webb has pointed out, we have a deficit of $700,000 plus, and I asked for this to be put on the agenda because I would like to have the board approve the extension of contracts to try to see if there's different ways that we can manage these contracts to bring the price down, to bring the budget into balance. And we're going to be talking, and there's some workshops that are coming up, and we're going to discuss the budget item by item so that we can get control of the budget and bring it down so we're not spending, we want a balanced budget. We're not the federal government, you know, so that's what we're trying to do. So,
it says that discuss an action regarding policies and procedures. Do you want a motion that the board review all contracts and contracts at a certain level? What do you want?
all contracts.
I'll make that motion.
I have a question. Do you want to change the current policies and procedures?
Yes,
And if so, what change do you want to make?
I want it to come to the board before they have an automatic renewal of a contract. I think it should be discussed by the board because we have the responsibility for this budget.
So do we need to go back and change the policy and procedures first?
That's what I would say.
It doesn't have to be specific. I think we can just, it's on the agenda. We can, my motion is to bring all contracts to the board, whether they're being renewed or if they're new, from henceforth.
It would be appropriate to bring it back by resolution with an actual policy attached to it in order to amend the policies and procedures manual that you have in place now, to amend that provision with regard to what level of contracts come to the board, and you would need to do that by resolution, because the policies were adopted by resolution.
In the meantime, we give direction to staff that that's our.
You can give direction in the meantime that you want them to come to you.
So that any contracts otherwise approved.
So an appropriate motion would be to give direction to staff to bring all contracts to the board between now and the next meeting, and at the next meeting to bring back a policy amendment resolution to implement that correction.
Give a motion for this. Like what she said.
Mr. Wallace, second. We have a motion, we have a second. Public discussion. Anyone have any items? Mr. Wood?
I'm trying to figure this out still. You got a guy here that has been working, that has turned this district around and has gone over and over and over these budgets and has proved to you in the last 6 months how this district has been turned around since he came to work here, and you're going to cut his feet off because you want to watch what he's doing? Is that what you're asking for? I just want to be clear about this.
I think that's exactly what you're asking for.
I'm asking you a question. That's a question that's on the agenda you can answer.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Council?
I don't mind responding.
This is, we're not in public comment, we're on an agenda item. you
I don't know
may
about
elect
response.
to respond, but the questions need to come through the chairman and then be responded to from there.
Okay. Then I'll respond. As I just said in my opening remarks, this board has a responsibility to produce a balanced budget. And we want to work with the staff to bring about a balanced budget. And we want to look at the contracts that are out there that are coming up for automatic renewal.
So you're thinking these contracts are not being taken care of right. And if you went to this man and asked him for information, and if you related with him, that he wouldn't do anything different. So you want to change the policies and procedures to make sure that you can micromanage this guy that we're paying a lot of money to take care of this business for us. Because you guys really are lay persons that are making decisions on information that this guy is giving you to make a decision on.
And a knowledgeable general manager.
The most knowledgeable general manager that this community service district has had in the history. The background, everything. And if you want to challenge that, I'll go for it. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a little late trying to save the budget from the district, and we spend over $75,000.
I just want to touch on this, what you guys are talking about. I understand what you're saying, President MacKay, but, you know, as a long-term board member myself, the board job, and only job, is to set policy and give direction to the person sitting in that seat. And it is not the board's job to review everything that the general manager does. You're supposed to have faith in that person that he's going to make the right decisions. And of course, when the new contract comes up, he's going to bring it to the board because it's going to be voted on by the board. But it's up to him to do the research on it. It's up to him to get the information to the board. But if you set a policy where the buck stops and starts with you, then you're basically taking all the power out of the general manager's hand, and he can't effectively run this district. No general manager with that policy, even when Steve is gone, will have his feet cut out from under him. Thank you.
And I don't want an attorney to have to say so.
Just a brief response there, Mr. Woods. The largest policy document that we have is the budget. And I know you missed the meeting when we spent 2 hours on the budget recently, but then these gentlemen spent another 2 hours prior to that. The point is that what we're doing in the next couple of months is we're doing 3 workshops before we approve the final budget. We want to be able to look at all the contracts. There's a lot of things that need to be explained. You're welcome to look at how the budget's been structured. Last year, you're aware of that. And currently this year, there's a lot of money being spent on outside contracts. A lot of money. And that's something that needs to be looked at. It's very appropriate for us as the board to set policy, as you say. The budget is the policy document, and that's what we're looking at in the next couple of months.
You're right, the policy, the budget is a very important part. But,
It's the policy document.
but, as a board, why do we need this? Why do we need that? We would make the general manager justify spending the money. And if we didn't agree with it, then we would vote it down. And if we agreed with it and trusted him to make the right decision, then we would back it up. But our job was to tell him, go out, run this agency, and then report back to the board. Set policy for him to run the agency by. But not to sit here and make policy to where you guys are making the everyday business decisions. That is, you know, that is board member 101 that you learned at your first training session.
Well, I don't think that's what we intend to do, is run the day-to-day here.
But that's what you're doing by
But
taking
you
that
also,
action.
you also aware that by July 1st of next year, we will have a new manager. It's important for us to know what's going on.
You can know what's going on by just asking him questions.
Sir, may I address that part, please? I think part of, Rick Webb again, I think part of knowing what's going on, you gotta trust people. I've been a police officer for 33 years. I don't know Chief Beck. He doesn't ride in the car with me, but I trust that he's gonna take care of us. You folks aren't taking care, and that's what, if you notice, the thing keeps coming up. To micromanage anything means that you don't trust the people that work here. So the thing is, if you don't trust the people that work for you, that means the community shouldn't have any confidence in you folks because you work for us. And I don't know what the dynamic is, but I do know one thing. All we're doing is pointing fingers and pointing fingers, and this district's going to wind up broke. And I have one advantage over a lot of people. I'm going to move. My baby graduated in May. Rosamond's on probation, not me. So I'll leave, but what about the people that can't leave? You came up here and often made a comment about the people in Rosamond, about what they couldn't afford. But look what you folks are doing to them now, because when these numbers come back, they pinch us in our butts, which they will. We go up on the rates, which we're going to have to, because this is good business. What do we do then? I am done trying to pick a fight. I want us to get it done, folks, because we sink as a team, or we're going to fail as a team, or we're going to win as a team. So I want the team to get the shit right. If you don't want Steve, leave the man alone and let him go into the sunset, but let him run the district. You folks want to be kings. There's only one king, and none of you wear the crown. And I'm not trying to be rude to you folks, but we've got to stop pointing fingers at each other and get to the business of running the district. Everyone's on pins and needles. Your staff is nervous. The people here are nervous. You folks are getting talked about. We're not getting nothing accomplished. And when you go up on the rates, because you're going to have to go up on them, that's a given. When you go up on the rates, what's going to happen then? You're going to come back and tell another story. One of the comments you guys made about us, we couldn't manage the district. Well, the district that I have now, thank goodness you did me the favor.
Anyone else? Any hearing none, we'll have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
No, could I make one comment?
Yes.
It took staff, Lizette, a long time to go back and find all of our current contracts that are in force.
Oh, you're kidding.
And I've had this for 2 months, and so has everybody else. We've had these for 2 months, okay? I haven't looked at mine, because I don't feel I need to.
Right.
But I wonder if anybody else in the last 2 months has read any of the contracts that we're going to become experts on.
And I'll tell you one other thing, Mr. Warnick, you do not have all of the contracts that are there.
There's even more than these.
Yes.
So what more, so how much more did that cost the district?
So what have you been doing?
Yeah, what have you been doing?
Yeah, I've had them for 2 months.
So is this what the attorney's getting paid $52,000 a month to do?
And you're going to be paid for the workshops that you have to have in order to figure this out?
This place
And
is
how
going
much is
broke.
that?
Meeting back to order. Move to discuss item B, discussion regarding justification of tiered rates. Mr. Houghton, are you prepared to talk to us about the tiered rates tonight?
Yeah, just a little bit. The recent court decision governed by the tiered rates determined tiered rates that were illegal in the Capistrano case. What happened is they did not justify their rates for each tier. Instructions we received from BB&K at the Aqua Conference was that we had to establish an administrative record that includes justification for the rates we established for each tier. GEI is required to do a complete rate study for the arsenic consolidation grant. This project, which will mitigate the cost of our water portion rate study, they are already a public service contract, and they can complete the sewer study also. GI is very much aware of the requirements and the legal issues that came about in the Capistrano decision. So that's what I have on the tiered rates as far as the legality of the litigation that was put on Capistrano was because they didn't justify each tier with a rate study and justification for why the higher rates before.
You know, our accountant said if
people cut their water by 30%, their water bill's only gonna go down 3%.
28%, is that, because you cut it by 28%,
They
you
go
don't
down,
lose 2% revenue.
and it go down, the bill's only gonna go down 2 or 3%.
So I guess, no, that's my question on GEI. If, don't they have a vested interest in turning the water rate so that we can buy their system, which you haven't agreed to do yet? Is that gonna be a, I mean, can we have is that gonna be a conflict on them? Technical water rate study.
Can't hear you.
Well, wait, a water rate study is what he's indicated
Yes.
will be required, of course. And he's recommending, I don't know if he's recommending, but he mentioned that GEI is supposed to do a water rate study in conjunction
With the arsenic consolidation.
with the arsenic consolidation. Arsenic only, or without also chromium-6?
Well, they've included the chromium-6 also.
Okay, and the question I have then, we're paying them to, or we haven't agreed to pay them anything yet, but we have to pay them to purchase a chromium-6 removal plant as part of that rate study?
Can I respond to that, John?
Okay.
They're doing this under our current contract, and it's been added to that contract, so they're doing extra work for us, and they get nothing, they're not a customer as far as water treatment, so they get nothing for it. They're doing this as a favor, aren't they?
Or is it favor they get paid?
They're doing this as a favor and consolidating it into the arsenic grant, to a degree, aren't they?
The arsenic grant requires a rate study.
Yeah.
So the state of California is paying for this GEI right now to be doing the arsenic study, the rate study for William Fish.
Okay.
Okay. So if Rosamond was to go ahead and do their own rate study for here, they could use GEI and mitigate some of the cost for the rate study, for the water and sewer rate study, by using part of the William Fisher's rate study. It's roughly $12,000 to do a rate study for William Fisher in this. So if we combine Rosamond and William Fisher's together, there's roughly a $12,000 savings to the district because the state is paying the first $12,000. The way I understand it, the way it was explained to me.
The last rate study was 6 years ago, and you're supposed to do one every 5 years, roughly.
Roughly.
And the question I have, so they would just do the water only?
That they are contracted right now to do just the water only, yes.
And the other question is, William Fisher's got 10, I imagine it might be a little more than $12,000 for the rest of us then. Does it matter on the size, or?
Yes, it does.
Do we have any idea how much it would cost?
I've heard numbers of upwards of $150,000
For a water rate study?
for water and sewer rate study.
And that would be something we'd have to go to bid, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
But being GEI is under a public service contract,
It's a professional services contract. You do not have to go out to bid. You certainly may go out to bid.
okay. That's one of the things we can talk about contracts.
Certainly.
Okay.
Yes.
I guess I need to know more about numbers. Talk about that. Okay.
John, there was some notices sent out on the chromium-6, is that right?
yes, there was.
Tell us about that.
Right now, the district is in a violation of NCL for chromium-6. We're running about, I believe it's 14 on the average of our wells.
Was it 10, about 10?
It was 50, it just was reduced.
Or no,
to
10 now, right?
Yes, it's at 10 parts per billion. So the agency has to respond back to the Department of Health Services by September 30th with our action plan of what we're going to do to mitigate the problem.
Do we know what we're going to do yet?
Not official, we have a couple of different options to work with, either treatment or blending. That'll be a board decision.
And blending would be something from an outside source such as HAVAC or regular water main?
Correct.
Do you have any other sources?
Well, they're doing this pilot test on this drill hole plenty, so
They think there's no chromium in that well, is that right?
it's actually not a well yet, but they're gonna drill a hole and test it. They have indications from samples around the existing area that the chromium is below the MCL in that area. So that's for to find an area to drill a well that's free of the chromium.
They drill a test hole, a 6-inch casing first, and then they,
I don't know if it's a 4 or 6, but it's a very small test hole and it'll sample the water out of it.
and the wells, when it becomes active, how large is the casing for that?
I would imagine if we're going to drill a well for the Rosamond, we would drill some at least 14-inch casing, 14 to 16-inch casing.
The district's not paying for the test well, right?
No, that's by the state.
State.
We are prepared. What it basically boils down to is we can't supply William Fisher with our water, knowing we're under, over an MCL on both arsenic and chromium. State's saying we got to find a source of water that's going to meet the MCLs.
And how far over is William Fisher?
I don't have the data on that. I know the arsenic there.
17.
I guess what I'm thinking, they're
For
along.
chromium or arsenic?
I mean,
For chromium or arsenic?
I don't believe it's been tested for chromium, just arsenic.
Yeah.
And if we looked at any test wells along the way to William Fisher, so that we close that way too, or not?
No, what the engineer did is took basically made a model of all the wells that have been sampled in the Antelope Valley, and the nearest spot to Rosamond would be the RWA. The further you go north, the arsenic is a problem, and what they're trying to do is eliminate both.
Okay, so there's less in the South Valley.
One of the questions that I had, John, was, has staff looked at the Beals Court decision? Are we in compliance with what they're requiring, or are we out of compliance with our tier rates? Are we justifying them the way that the Beals Court said to justify?
I do not have that information for you, but
You have the administrative record from 6 years ago? or-
I do not have the administrative record from 6 years ago, but I've been working with the general manager to make sure that the rate study is done in a manner to ensure that all of our rates are in compliance with 218 and the new ruling in their capstone. So Steve and I are working on it.
Is there any way of looking back at what happened 6 years ago?
If that's the board's direction, we can certainly do that, yes.
It would be a cost to that.
Yes, we can do that. Absolutely.
Well, it's something we can prospective regardless.
I think the most important thing is to make sure on a go-forward basis that we are
Planning
in
and
full
study.
compliance. Right. I would recommend strongly that we focus on the water rate study and make sure that the rates are adopted that are consistent with the 218 process and the capstone case on a go-forward basis. And if and only if there's a need to spend the time and money to do a look back.
just one other note. The arsenic grant consolidation isn't just William Fisher, it's the other mutuals. It's also there's 12 mutuals that are also involved in that arsenic grant. It's not just William Fisher.
Okay, so that's not, that makes sense.
Any public discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to item 11, consent calendar. Entertain a motion to adopt the consent calendar.
So moved. Second.
Any public discussion? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Well, move to item 12, outstanding items, written communications. Any written communications? Okay. Item 2, request for future agenda items. John is in.
We need to hold a special board meeting on, I don't know if you guys got the information on the GEI.
Can't hear you.
Awarding of contract.
What's EEI, or GEI?
GEI, for the, you may have got it. We need to schedule a special meeting.
How about next Thursday?
Thursday, July the 2nd?
Any time is fine with me.
Yeah, then you want to go 11 o'clock Saturday, or you want to go 1:30? 11 o'clock?
Any further?
What time do we decide?
11 o'clock. Being no further, we'll go to item 13, adjournment. Entertain a motion.
I'm here, want to talk about agenda items.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I want to know why this is on this. Because the last meeting, I asked for something to be put on the agenda, and it hasn't been put on the agenda.
Right.
So, what good is this?
It'll be put on the agenda.
Okay, what good is this? I asked for it to be put on the agenda. What are we putting on there?
These questions.
Oh,
It'll be on the next agenda.
Okay. The other thing is that, back to this report you guys got, you just heard this whole community say, don't do something, and you guys did the opposite.
Anyone else?
Yes, please. There was a really good article in the Valley Press, Grand Jury finds fault agency. Very good article, actually. There was a comment, Board President Ed MacKay said Wednesday he had no comment on the report before going over it with the rest of the board and legal counsel. Could you put on the agenda what you guys' comments are then, please, for an agenda item?
Council, you want to respond to that?
The grand jury report will be brought back before the board for an open session discussion.
For an open session.
In the
It'll be
future.
part of the agenda on the minutes.
It will be part of the agenda. It may not be the next meeting, but it will be a meeting in the very near future.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So this year?
It will be this year. Yes.
Item 13.
I didn't hear what you said, gosh.
Close the meeting. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming.